Let us now see a few properties of acids and bases. What kind of characteristics do they show? So here we are going to do an experiment with electricity and see whether it conducts electricity or no. So activity 2.8 tells you take glucose, alcohol, dilute hydrochloric acid, dilute sulfuric acid and conduct this experiment. So what do we do in this experiment? We take a beaker, we take a solution of those one at a time. First we do glucose. So we take two nails here, put it on a cork and connect it to a battery, a bulb to show whether the electricity is flowing or not flowing, and now we switch on the battery. Switch is there to switch on and switch off. Now what are we going to do in this? We are going to put glucose here. As you can see, if current starts flowing from here to here, current will flow from this nail to this nail only if the solution is a conductor of electricity. Do you agree? Yes. So current can flow from this nail to this nail because rubber is a bad conductor of electricity. No current can flow. So if current has to flow, it has to flow through the solution only. Flows through the solution and the circuit is completed, the bulb will glow. So now when I put glucose, I will see that the bulb does not glow. When we take alcohol, again you see that the bulb does not glow. When we take hydrochloric acid, you will see that the bulb is glowing. That means current is flowing from here, it's going here, from this nail it is flowing through the solution, going to this nail and the circuit is completed, the bulb glows. Even with sulfuric acid or hydrogen sulfate solution, you will see that the bulb glows. What do we understand from this? We understand that for electricity to flow through the circuit, what do we need? You need charges. You need charges. Where's the charge here? In the solution, who's the charge? So when you say charges, it can be electrons, protons or ions. So in this solution, here, who's the charge? Ions are the charge. Who's the charge? Ions. Now how are these ions coming? Which ion is coming out of these solutions? The conclusion of this experiment tells you acids produce H plus ions. These H plus ions behave as charges. So therefore the charges flow through this. There are charges to flow. In order to get electricity, we need charges. Now charges are flowing through this. Therefore the conduction of this electricity, the path is complete. The electric circuit is complete and the current can flow through it. So the conclusion of this experiment tells you these acids produce some kind of ions. What are these ions? They are H plus ions. HCl will give out H plus and Cl minus. H2SO4 will give out H plus and SO4 2 minus. As you can see, in common, can I say all acids produce H plus ions? Yes. So the conclusion of this experiment is all acids produce H plus ions. If I extend the same experiment to bases, you will observe that even bases conduct electricity. What kind of bases? Alkalis. Why alkalis? Bases, so bases that dissolve in water. Bases that dissolve in water are called alkalis. So when they dissolve in water, they are called alkalis. They split up into ions if you try to pass electricity to it. So this will become Na plus and OH minus. This will become K plus and OH minus. Conclusion of this, can I say bases produce OH minus ions? Yes. So what was the conclusion of this whole activity 2.8? In short, you have to remember activity 2.8 tells you that bases, alkalis, not all bases, some bases are not soluble in water, so those will not conduct electricity. So alkalis and acids conduct electricity. Why? Due to the ions present in them. What are the ions present? Acids produce H plus ions and bases produce OH minus ions. Let us now study activity 2.9. In activity 2.9, we take sodium chloride crystals here. To the sodium chloride, we add sulfuric acid. So there is sodium chloride. I am adding sulfuric acid. As you can see, this is a compound. This is a compound from chapter 1. We know that double displacement reaction will take place. What will we expect? Na and H will get interchanged. So you get HCl and Na2SO4. Balancing you can do. Okay. So there is HCl being produced. Do you agree? Yes. Now HCl gas, whenever you create preparation of HCl using this experiment, the HCl produced over there is in the gaseous state. So when HCl is produced here, see, I am putting NaCl and I have NaCl here and I have poured the sulfuric acid. So which gas is going to be produced? HCl gas. Now this HCl gas is being produced. If I put this HCl gas on a litmus paper, which color litmus paper? It's an acid. Which color litmus should I use? Acids turn blue, litmus red. So I take a blue litmus paper and keep it there. What should HCl do? It should change the color of the blue litmus. Do you agree? Yes. But you will observe that this dry HCl gas is coming does not change the litmus paper from blue to red. It does not happen. But if I wet this litmus paper or I use a moist litmus paper, then you will observe that it is turning blue to red. Wet litmus paper is turning the paper into blue to red. I repeat, there is dry HCl gas being produced here. When this HCl gas is put on blue litmus paper, practically speaking, we all know acids turn blue litmus red. Did it turn blue litmus red? No. But if I wet the paper and I try it, it will turn blue litmus red. What does this experiment teach you? This experiment tells us that H plus ions cannot exist alone. They will not exist alone. If H plus ions need to exist, they will exist only in the presence of water. So if H plus ions need to exist in the presence of water, I will say H plus aqueous. H plus aqueous means H plus with water. So there is H plus ions in the water. This H plus aqueous can also be represented as H3O plus. How? H plus and H2O. Put them all together, it will give you H3O with a plus sign. So that's how this H3O plus come. So H plus ions cannot exist alone. They exist in the combined state with water as H plus aqueous or H3O plus. How did we understand this? Dry HCl does not turn blue litmus red. Why? Because H plus does not H plus ions do not exist alone. In dry HCl, there is no H plus ion existing alone. So it will not turn the blue litmus red. But if I use HCl solution, in our experiment you saw in the starting, we did a few experiments in which we tested acids on blue litmus paper. There you saw that HCl solution, HCl was turning blue litmus red. Why did it work that time? Because we were not using dry HCl, we were using HCl solution. We were taking a few drops and putting it on the blue litmus paper. So HCl solution will turn blue litmus red. If you don't use HCl solution, you can also use dry HCl with the wet paper. So if I have a wet paper here and there's dry HCl gas coming, it can combine with the water on the paper, with the moisture or wet paper. If I'm using here, there is water on this paper. It can combine with the water on this paper. So when it combines, H plus will exist, and if H plus exists, it will turn blue litmus red. In this experiment in the textbook, you will see there's a guard tube containing calcium chloride. Why do they do this? If the temperature in the environment around you is moist, that means there is moisture around, there's water content in the air. How do we avoid this experiment? Because then you cannot test for dry HCl, because the dry HCl will combine with the moisture in the air and turn the blue litmus red. You will not get the correct value. So what do we do for that case? In that case, what will we do? We will use calcium chloride in our tube. While transferring, we will use calcium chloride here in the tube, because calcium chloride will absorb the water content around it, and your experiment will still give you the same exact results. So concluding from this experiment, we can say acids generate H plus ions in water. Bases generate OH minus ions in water. How can you say this? Remember in that experiment I told you, alkalis will be conducting electricity. So what are alkalis? Bases in water. So water is the crucial solution over here, so liquid over here that we need for the ions to exist. So concluding from this experiment, if HCl is in water, I can say H plus and Cl minus will be produced. Both of them are in water. So aqueous is important over here. This will produce an aqueous state. H plus and water, what did I tell you it combines to? It combines to hydronium ion. Next, HCl and water. This is the same thing here. HCl and water. I am writing water on top over here. The only difference is I am showing it react with water. What happens? This becomes H plus and Cl minus. H plus will combine with water and exist as H3O plus Cl minus will exist here. It's produced in aqueous state, so put aqueous. Is it necessary to write aqueous here? No, because this H3O plus itself has the water in it. So this is a summed up reaction of these two. If I take these two together, I get the third reaction. Similarly, if I take the base NaOH, if I take these pellets in water, what happens? You will find that Na plus and OH minus comes out, sodium ion and hydroxide ion, aqueous state, because it's all happening in water. KOH, K plus aqueous state, OH minus aqueous state. MgOH twice, Mg2 plus aqueous state and OH minus aqueous state. There are two OHs here, so this becomes 2. As you can see, these are nothing. See, if I combine sodium hydroxide, how do you get the formula? Na plus OH minus together gives you sodium hydroxide. So basically, this is ionization. It is getting split into its ions. This process is all called ionization. Now, using the fact that we have now saying that acids produce H plus ions in water, bases produce OH minus ions in water. I told you if you add an acid and a base, you get salt and water. How does that water form? Let's see an example and understand. Acid, we'll take an acid HCl with NaOH. What happens? HCl produces the H plus ion. NaOH produces the OH minus ion. Aqueous state, it will give us water. Agreed? That's how your water is formed over here. H plus is coming out here, OH minus is coming out here, H plus and OH minus combine to give water. The remaining ions are Cl minus and Na plus. So Na plus and Cl minus becomes NaCl. Generalizing this equation, we can say an acid always has H in it. With H, let's say this compound, the non-metal part here, the negative ion is X. If I have the base here, the positive ion is usually a metal, so I'll denote it by M. Along with that, I have OH. What happens then? H and OH combine to give us water, and this M and X will combine to give you the compound. Do you agree? So therefore, we can conclude this is the general form of the equation, and when you combine H plus and OH minus, you will get water. Moving on to the next experiment, activity 2.10. So in this experiment, we take about 10 ml of water and we add a few drops of sulfuric acid in it, concentrated sulfuric acid. So when we are adding a few drops of concentrated sulfuric acid, add a few drops, keep stirring it. If you go and touch the beaker, you will see the beaker is hot. What does this mean? This means that first of all, when you are putting acid in the water, what is that called? You're dissolving the acid in the water. So dissolving an acid or a base in water is an exothermic reaction. The same thing is observed with base if you try with NaOH. If you're adding a concentrated acid to water, you are supposed to add it slowly. Why not? If you add it very, very fast, what will happen? It is an exothermic reaction. Too much heat will be generated, the acid will splash out. If it splashes out, you may get burnt, and because there is too much heat liberated, what happens? You will see that the glass beaker may break. which is why adding concentrated acid to water should be done slowly with constant stirring. Why not? If you go against this, it may splash out and the beaker may break due to excess heat. That's why you will add concentrated acid to water. Do we add water to acid? No. If you have so much acid and little water, it will react and there will be again too much heat produced. Therefore, acid is always added to water, not water to acid. This process of adding a concentrated acid or a base to water, and this process is called dilution. What happens in dilutions? The number of ions in the water decreases, meaning if I take 5 liters of the acid and put it in 5 liters of water, then now from this, if I remove 1 liter of the substance and I check, hey, how many H plus and Cl minus ions are there? And if I do the same experiment and I take 9 liters of water and 1 liter of acid and I check how many H plus and Cl minus ions are there, tell me who will have more H plus? This one will have more H plus, obviously. So, this has lesser H plus. That means the number of ion concentration in 1 liter of water is less. So, when the ion concentration is decreasing from here to here, this process is called dilution. So, when you are adding an acid to water, you are diluting the number of ions present in a given liter. Therefore, this process we call as dilution. Using the above 3 activities that we just learned, let us now answer a few questions. Page 25, question 1. Why do HCl, HNO3, HCl hydrochloric acid, HNO3 nitric acid show acidic characteristics in aqueous solutions while compounds like alcohol and glucose do not show acidic characteristic? Why? Because if I take HCl or HNO3 and put it in water, and I put glucose or alcohol in water, you will observe for something to show, for a substance to show acidic characteristic, what is important? H plus ion is important. It is the H plus ion that shows acidic characteristic. It is the H plus ion that turns blue litmus red. HCl and HNO3 in water dissociate into ions. Dissociate meaning split up. So, it dissociates into ions to give out H plus ions. So, when it dissociates into ions, it produces H plus ion and this H plus ion will show acidic behavior. Whereas, glucose and alcohol do not dissociate in water. Even though it has H in it, even though there is H in glucose compound alcohol, it does not dissociate into ions. So, there is no H plus, it does not show acidic behavior. Next question. Why does an aqueous solution of an acid conduct electricity? An aqueous solution of an acid in water, when acid is dissolved in water to produce an aqueous solution, the acid splits up, dissociates into ions. These ions are responsible for the conduction of electricity. They behave as charges, which is why acids in water or aqueous solutions of acid conduct electricity. Question. Why does dry HCl gas not change the color of the dry litmus paper? We know that the litmus paper color changes due to the production of H plus ions. Now, dry HCl does not dissociate into H plus and Cl minus. It needs water to dissociate. Paper is also dry. When dry HCl meets the dry paper, will it dissociate? No. Therefore, it won't show color change. But if it was wet paper, when the dry HCl meets the wet paper, it would dissociate into H plus and Cl minus. So, we can therefore conclude color of the litmus paper is changed by H plus ions. Dry HCl does not dissociate into H plus and Cl minus. So, there is no production of H plus ions. That means we don't have HCl in aqueous state for it to split up. We don't have the litmus paper wet, it's not even wet. So, it does not split up then either. Therefore, we can say dry HCl gas does not show any color change on dry litmus paper. Next question. Question 4. While diluting an acid, Why is it recommended that the acid should be added to water and not water to acid? Why should we add acid to water and not water to acid? Dissolving an acid in water is an exothermic process. You are supposed to add acid to water slowly with constant stirring. Why not? If you don't follow this, if you add water to acid, there may be too much excess heat generated because it is an exothermic reaction. The solution may splash out. Also, the glass beaker may break, which is why you need to add acid to water and not water to acid. Question 5. How is the concentration of hydronium ions affected when a solution of an acid is diluted? That means we have a little bit of acid in water. I am diluting it. I am adding more water now. If I add more water in it, there is little acid, more water. What will be the hydronium concentration? The amount of ions there in it, H plus and Cl minus. I already did this example. I told you there is 5 liters of acid in 5 liters of water, and I have 1 liter of acid in 9 liters of water. Where is the concentration lesser? We all saw that this was lesser. So if I add more water, the amount of H plus and Cl minus ions present in this much space or in this much volume will be lesser. So therefore, can I say the hydronium concentration decreases upon dilution? Yes. Not only hydronium, any concentration will keep decreasing as you add water. Dilution, that means the concentration is decreasing. Dilution is nothing but concentration decrease. So therefore, hydronium ion concentration decreases. Question 6. How is the concentration of hydroxide ion affected when excess base is dissolved in a solution of sodium hydroxide? So here we have the base in water. I am adding more base to it. I am adding more base to it. I am not increasing water, I am adding more base to it. If I am adding more base to it, what is happening to the amount of water content? Less. So what is this? Dilution? No, we are not diluting even more. Dilution means adding more and more water, but here I am adding more and more base. So more ions will be produced. So therefore I can say the concentration of hydroxide ion increases. Next topic, strength of an acid or a base. It is important for us to know how strong is an acid and how weak is an acid. Same with bases. For example, the vinegar you use at home for your Chinese cooking is a weak acetic acid. The acid you used to wash washroom, sulfuric acid, is a strong acid. So how do we know what is the strength of the acid or a base? We have something called as a universal indicator. Universal indicator is a mixture of many indicators such that it shows different range of colors when an acid or a base is applied on it. A good example of a universal indicator is pH. pH gives you a value between 0 and 14 and tells you whether it is a base or an acid and how strong is the base or acid. If the pH value is 7, it is referred to as a neutral compound. It is neither acidic nor basic. If it is decreasing less than 7, it is an acid. The lower the value, the stronger the acid. If it is more than 7, then it is a base. Higher the value, higher the basicity. What is this pH? pH stands for potence of H plus ion concentration. That is, they are telling you what is the power of the H plus ion concentration. We are referring to the H plus ion concentration here. If the H plus ion concentration is high, that means more H plus means more acidic. More acidic means pH value will be less than 7. If H plus ion concentration is less acidic, pH value will be greater than 7. Now the next question that you may ask is, it's a base, it should have only OH minus, from where is H plus coming? When you add a base or an acid to water, even the water ions dissociate. So there is possibility of H plus ions coming there too. So when I add NaOH to water, what happens? NaOH will give Na plus OH minus. H2O will give H plus OH minus. No doubt OH minus ions are more. No doubt OH minus ions are more. But does it mean H plus ions are not there? No, even H plus ions are there. But OH minus ion concentration is more. So even though it's a base in water, there will be presence of H plus ions. So therefore we can say, if I am going from 7, if it's a base, if I keep going towards a higher value, if it's a base, there is a decrease in H plus ion concentration. Number of H plus ions decreases. If it is an acid, if I keep going this side, H plus ion concentration will increase. What can you say about the OH minus concentration ion? If I am going from 7 to 14, the base value is increasing. It's a base, the basic value is increasing. That means it's more basic. I can say there is an increase in OH minus if I am traveling from here to here. If I am traveling from 7 to 0, what is happening to the OH minus concentration? It's acidic, more H plus, less OH minus. So now let's see the range of colors that it produces. A pH value is 7. You need to know this much. A pH value of 7 produces green color. The pH solution turns green. pH 0, towards 0 and 1, it's usually red color. Towards 14, it's usually dark blue. So if something showing bluish color, base. Reddish color, acid. Greenish color, then it's neutral. So we know this is acid, neutral, base. Few examples given in your textbook are gastric juice. What is gastric juice? The acid produced in your stomach, highly acidic, around 1.2 pH. Lemon juice, 2.2. It has citric acid in it. It is, pH is again strong. Water, pure water. It's pure water, you cannot use contaminated or water that has salts in it. So pure water or our blood, it's supposed to be 7.4, a little more than neutral. So little more than neutral, it's slightly basic. Okay, our bodies are slightly basic, almost neutral, slightly basic. 7.4. Milk of magnesia. What is milk of magnesia? Magnesium hydroxide is itself milk of magnesia, MgOH twice. It is little more basic. Sodium hydroxide solution, highly basic, pH value 14. You don't have to by heart this, but you just need to know who is an acid and who is a base. Water and blood, neutral, almost neutral. Lemon juice has citric acid, so it's acidic. Gastric juice, the acid produced in our stomach, again acid, it's an acid, so pH value less than 7. Milk of magnesia, magnesium hydroxide, hydroxide is there, so it's a base, pH value more than 7. Sodium hydroxide, strong base, pH value definitely more than 7. Now concluding the above two diagrams that we just learnt, I can say acid, neutral substance and a base. 0 is for acid, 7 is for neutral, 14 is for base. Anything between 0 and 7 is acidic, anything between 7 and 14 is basic. If it is moving towards 0, color found is reddish. If it is a neutral substance, green color. And if it's moving towards base, that's 14, higher pH value, it's found to be bluish color. So if I am moving from 7 to 0, what is happening? It is becoming more acidic. If I am moving from 7 to 0, it is becoming more acidic. More acidic means what? More H plus ions. More H plus ions means there is less OH minus ions. Agreed? Yes. If I am moving from 7 to 14, then the basicity is increasing. Acidity is decreasing. So the acidic nature will be decreasing. So basicity is increasing. That means there should be more OH minus ions. More OH minus ions means less H plus ions. So this is the conclusion of what we learned until now. If you learn this much, it's more than enough. So understanding what we just concluded above, I conclude the whole thing in a small gist, right? Let's answer these few questions. Higher the hydronium ion concentration, dash is the pH value. More the hydronium ion concentration. That means what? More H plus ions. More H plus ions means more acidic nature. More acidic nature, pH value goes towards, from 7 it keeps decreasing towards 0. So the pH value decreases. So I can say lower is the pH value. An acid that produces more H plus ions, is it stronger or weaker? It's a stronger acid. More basicity, dash is the pH. If there's more basicity means what? pH value tends to be towards 14, more than 7 and towards 14. So more is the pH. Strong bases produce dash OH minus ions. More OH minus or less OH minus ions? Bases means they produce OH minus ions. So if it is strong base, more OH minus ions. What about the H plus ions? It will be less. All bases produce less H plus ions. Don't get confused. Do not say bases do not produce H plus. When you put a base in water in a solution, H plus ion concentration will be there also, but it will be very, very minute, less. Let us now see the importance of pH in everyday life. Where do we come across these situations where acids and bases directly impact us and affect our lives? One such good example is aquatic life. Living organisms like you, me, the animals, our pH of our body is approximately between 7 and 7.8. So you may be hearing today, there are so many aquatic animals, fish, etc. dying. Why is this happening? In many regions today, due to pollution and everything, there is acidic rain. The normal pH of a body is between 7 and 7.8. So now when due to acidic rain, the rain falling in the water is dropping the pH below 7. Why? Acidic means pH drops below 7, So when the water interacting with the bodies, the water itself is below 7, what happens? The fish in the aquatic life in that kind of water cannot sustain. Why? Because our living organisms sustain best between 7 and 7.8. So in acidic rain regions, it becomes very difficult for the aquatic life to sustain. Next, to grow plants, the good pH value is between 5.5 and 7.5. In some regions pH drops, in some region pH increases. So what do we do in such a situation? So if your soil is highly acidic, let's say the pH is below 5.5, it's become acidic. So what should you do? How do you neutralize it? How do you bring down the acidic nature? By adding a base. So which fertilizer you use? Use potassium fertilizer. Potassium fertilizer brings up the basicity. Suppose your soil is itself highly basic, that means more than 7.5, then you have to bring down the basicity. How will you bring down the basicity? By adding something acidic. Add a phosphate fertilizer. Our digestive systems produce acid. Why? To help break down the food and digest the food. But in some cases, you will feel acidity. What is this acidity? When do you usually feel acidity? When do you usually feel acidity sensation? Suppose you eat today and then you don't eat for the next 15 hours. You'll feel the acidic nature. You'll feel the acidity. Why does that happen? Our stomachs produce acid to break down the food particles in our stomach. Suppose you are not eating anything, you're not giving it any food, what happens? The acid produced in your stomach does not have food to react upon. So what will it do? It will start reacting on the walls of your stomach, which is why you find it irritating. You find a burning sensation. Therefore, you need to eat food in appropriate intervals. Also, so the digestive system produces an acid to help break down food particles. Suppose the acid produced is excess, then it causes acidity. How do you bring down the acidity? It's acidic. You have to add some kind of a base. Which base can we add? Add milk of magnesia. We just learned the formula of milk of magnesia. What is it? MgOH twice, magnesium hydroxide. You can take this, you can drink it in the solution state and your problem solved. Tooth decay. The pH of our mouth is approximately 5.5. Our enamel, the teeth, is covered with enamel. This is nothing but calcium phosphate. Calcium phosphate begins to corrode below 5.5. So what happens? Suppose there are food particles. Why do they say brush your teeth twice a day? When you eat food particles, and let's say there are few food particles stuck between your teeth, what happens? The enzyme in your mouth, the saliva and everything will start reacting with it, and it will produce, the bacteria will produce acids. When those bacteria produce acids in your mouth, suppose there are food particles, the acids will remain there, the bacteria will keep producing acids. What happens? Your mouth becomes little more acidic. If it becomes little more acidic, the pH drops below 5.5. The calcium phosphate will corrode. If it corrodes, what happens? You get cavities. So, which is why to avoid this also our toothpastes are made basic in nature. Why? So that when you clean it, if there is any acidic or juice left, we tend to neutralize it and remove it. Bee stings. When a bee stings you, or a nettle leaf's hair, a nettle leaf has some pointed hair structure. If it touches you, you will feel a sting over there and it will become fat, you will get some allergy. Why? Because bee stings and those nettle stings have formic acid in it. So when you get that, what do? When you get a bee sting at home, what's the first remedy? Take baking soda and rub it on it, because baking soda is basic, the bee sting is acidic, they will neutralize each other. Let us see a few examples of strong acids, weak acids, strong bases, weak bases, and a few salts that we come across in our day-to-day life. Strong acids that we commonly use: H2SO4, sulfuric acid, HNO3, nitric acid, HCl, hydrochloric acid. All these acids you need to know by heart. These are very, very commonly used acids and bases that I have listed down over here. You have to know them by heart. This is a strong acid, this is a weak acid. These are, okay. Coming to weak acids: carbonic acid, H2CO3. This is nothing but your soft drinks. How do you get this H2CO3? Water and carbon dioxide gives you H2CO3, which is why it's bad for health. Carbonic acid, when you're drinking a bottle of Coke, you're drinking carbonic acid. Okay, so carbonic acid, weak acid. CH3COOH, acetic acid, also called ethanoic acid. Weak acid, HCOOH. You will learn CH3COOH and HCOOH in detail in carbon and its compounds chapter. HCOOH, methanoic acid, also referred to as formic acid. There are few naturally occurring acids, they all are weak. All naturally occurring acids, all these are weak. Formic acid, where do we find formic acid or methanoic acid? Ant stings, bee stings, nettle leaves. When an ant stings you, it becomes fat and red. Why? Because when an ant bites you, it's excreting formic acid. Formic acid is entering here. What do you do when you get a sting? Apply baking soda, because baking soda is basic. Or you can apply milk of magnesia as well. Acetic acid, where do we find acetic acid in our day-to-day lives? Vinegar, the vinegar you use while doing Chinese cooking, acetic acid. Oranges and lemon have citric acid in them. Tartaric acid, tamarind, grapes, they have tartaric acid in them. Tomato has oxalic acid in it. These are the most common acids that we come across. You need to know them. Let's now check out bases. Strong bases: NaOH, sodium hydroxide, KOH, potassium hydroxide, CaOH twice, calcium hydroxide, BaOH twice, barium hydroxide. Coming to weak bases: NH4OH, ammonium hydroxide, MgOH twice, magnesium hydroxide, AlOH thrice, Aluminium hydroxide, CuOH twice, copper 2 hydroxide, or also refers to as cupric hydroxide. FeOH thrice, ferric hydroxide or iron 3 hydroxide.